What do I do if I've been on a motorcycle and I've been hit by a car? Hey there, I'm Chris Klotz. I'm one of the attorneys with the Stevenson and Klotz injury firm here in Pensacola, and I'm going to try to answer a little bit about this question today. And this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I am a motorcycle rider myself, and I have had way too many friends that have been hit in accidents with vehicles, usually a car, not looking out closely enough for motorcycle riders. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what to do. So first and foremost, the most important thing is to make sure that you're safe and everybody else at the scene is safe. You're going to want to call the police and have an accident report filed. If anybody's injured, you're going to want to call for help, medical help, if somebody's been injured. And then after the scene is safe and everybody's safe and secure, you're going to want to make sure that you get as many photographs as you can. If you have a friend that's there, or if somebody that's a family member or friend comes to the scene, make sure you get photographs of all of the vehicles that are involved. That's really important. Here's something else that I find in a lot of the crash reports when I start looking at the police crash reports. Make sure that if there are any witnesses at the scene, that somebody gets their name and number, and don't rely on the police to do that, because sometimes the police officers get busy and they'll either not write down the names and numbers of the witnesses, or they'll forget to ask for the names and numbers of the witnesses, and then once everybody goes their separate way, weeks on down the road, you are not able to find out who those witnesses are, and those witnesses can be critical in a motorcycle case. So make sure you get the names of the witnesses and write them down yourself. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to do a driver's exchange of information with the other party. You know, you're going to get their names, their contact information, and importantly, you're going to get their insurance information. And that's a requirement. Everybody's supposed to exchange their information at a scene. The next thing is that hopefully you have not been significantly injured. But it's not uncommon at all for people who have been in a motorcycle accident or even in a car accident not to experience any immediate pain or signs of an injury until 24 or 48 hours after the accident. That is a common occurrence that we see where people have an accident, their adrenaline's running that day, they get home, and then they start feeling maybe a little bit bad, and then they wake up the next morning and then they feel terrible. That is something that happens regularly in vehicle accidents, and it's a sign that you probably need to get some medical care. If you have been injured, obviously the most important thing that you want to do is to get yourself better. And you're not able to do that unless you seek some type of medical care. And so I strongly suggest that if you think you need to go get some help from somebody in the medical profession, go do that as soon as you start feeling bad. The other reason why that's important, it's not as important as wanting your body to get well, but secondarily, if you end up having to make a claim in a motorcycle case, having a medical professional evaluate you to document what your injuries are, it can be very important in a case, because if there's no documentation from a physician or a clinic that these injuries happened, a lot of times insurance companies for the at-fault party on down the road are going to say, well, they never went to the doctor, so they must not have been hurt. And so it can hurt your case. That's not the most important reason for getting medical care. The most important reason is because you want to get back on your feet and you want to be fully healthy. But secondarily to that, you have a more difficult time showing that you actually have a claim if there's no medical documentation about what happened to you. And I know just from being in the community that motorcycle riders are tough people. They don't like to, complain about stuff, and they'll just push through. Oh, I can get through this without getting any help. Get some help if you need it. It's going to help you get back on your feet faster. And if you have to make a claim, then it's going to be there to document your injuries. That's about all that I can think of right now for the immediate things that you need to do if you've been on a bike and then you've been injured in an accident. I am Chris Klotz with the Stevenson and Klotz injury firm here in town. We do not charge for initial consultations, so if you have any questions about a case, give us a call. I'm happy to talk to you at no cost, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you guys very much for watching. Ride safe.